All right, what's up? No, I don't like that start. Hey, everybody, it's Mr. G from Team Michigan. So 25% of y'all know me. Sup, kids? Hope y'all been doing good. I bet y'all thought y'all were safe from seeing this ugly mug, but guess what? No, you're not. And for the other 75% of Owsley, I guess you're cool too. So, today we're going to be talking about the hero's journey. And yes, I did just learn how to put text into a film because of this assignment. So you're going to be seeing that throughout. Text, 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 text. So the hero's journey is just the stereotypical journey the hero takes throughout a vast majority of movies and stories. This is a very repeated set of tropes. And a lot of people would say that makes them cliche, but I disagree. Because I think that they're repeated not because people are lazy, but because it works. It's a story that we all like, and we like seeing in many iterations. But it's also the reason why you go to any Marvel movie and you know what's going to happen. You're like, oh, the hero's going to get some powers, and he's going to fight a bad guy, and then he's going to, fly off into the sunset. And I love Marvel movies, though, I could watch that movie 85,000 times, and I probably have during this quarantine. There's nothing else to do. So, the hero's journey is just a series of steps and characters that we've seen recreated throughout many, many different stories, and we're going to be looking at a lot of them today. Now, before we can talk hero's journey, though, we have to first talk about archetypes. Now, archetypes are a series of patterns and repeated storylines and character arcs that we've seen throughout anything. It's just a fancy word for a pattern, okay? Now, we're going to be looking at several different types of archetypes, but whenever I throw that big word at you, you need to not be intimidated. You need to just be like, oh yeah, it's a pattern. Gotcha. No problem, okay? So don't be worried. I'd like to use the big words, because then you get to use the big words. Whenever your mom asks you what you're doing on the computer over there, you can be like, I'm learning about archetypes. And they're going to be like, oh, look at that. That's a $4 word right there. Okay. The first archetype we're going to look at the first type of archetype we're going to look at are the character archetypes. Now, this list is not complete because there are a lot of them out there. So we're only going to be looking at 4 character archetypes. The first one we're going to look at is the hero. Makes sense because it's the hero's journey. Now, the hero represents goodness. They are the good guy, and they are there to fight the bad guy. The hero is there to stop evil. They're there to stand up to the darkness. They're there to say, no, I see what you're doing. Don't do it. That's bad. I'm going to stop you because I'm the hero. Now, they represent goodness. They represent hope. They represent the courage to continue facing impossible odds because you believe that good will triumph over evil.
Excuse me. That's a bad outfit. Okay, Presley, move these people out. Look up there. Easy, miss. I've got you.
You've got me? Who's got you? I can't believe it. I just cannot believe it. He got her.
Yeah. The next word we're going to look at, the next character archetype we're going to look at is the villain. Ooh, this is the bad guy. They represent evil. They represent danger and death. Ooh, I'm here to do bad things, and therefore I am the villain. They're there to stop the hero. They exist to just cause trouble. When the rich guy got rich because he's selling the orphanage and now the orphans have to put on a hip-hop dance routine to stop him, now he's a villain because he's a bad guy doing bad things. character archetype we're going to look at is called the mentor. The mentor is anyone who comes along and teaches the hero a lesson. They can walk them through some steps that they need to learn. They can say, hey, here's just a personal thing you need to work on because you're sucking right now, man. Here's something here's the secret technique of this basketball alley-oop that will help you win. Here is the magical sword and how to get it because you need it to fight the dragon, little guy. They exist to teach. It could be a coach, it could be a teacher, it could be a parent or a grandparent. It's anyone who's in a position to teach the hero a lesson and does that. They represent wisdom. They represent personal growth because they improve the hero. They also represent also what the hero doesn't know, because there's so much more that the mentor knows that the hero doesn't, and so it shows that the hero still has a lot to do. It says you're not there yet, buddy, but you're gonna get there eventually, okay?
Police! So you wanna be a hero, kid? Well, whoop-de-doo. I have been around the block before with blockheads just like you. Each and every one a disappointment, pain, for which there ain't no ointment. So much for excuses. The wicked as Zeus is asking me to jump into the fray. My answer is 2 words. Okay.
You mean you'll do it?
You win.
You won't be sorry, Phil.
Oh, God.
So when do we start? Can we start now?
But you need an advisor, a satyr but wiser, a good merchandiser, and whoa! There goes my ulcer! I'm down to one less hope, and I hope it's you. Though, kid, you're not exactly a dream come true. I trained enough turkeys who never came true. You're my one last hope, so you'll have to do rule number 6 when rescuing a damsel. Always handle with care. Rule number 95, kid. Concentrate. Rule number 96. Hey, to be a true hero, kid, is a dying art. Like painting a masterpiece. It's a work of heart. It takes more than sinew. Comes down to what's in you. You have to continue to grow. Yeah, that's more like it. My dreams are on you, kid. Go make them come true. Climb that uphill slope. Keep pushing that envelope. You're my one last hope, and kid, it's all to you.
The last character archetype we're going to look at is a pretty sexist one. It's the damsel in distress. Now, the damsel in distress is anyone where there's a scene and they're helpless and the hero has to save them. I say it's a sexist one because it's usually a woman. It's usually the girlfriend or the love interest or the wife who is like, oh, I can't do anything on my own because I'm not the hero, and so I need the hero to save me. It goes, if you can go watch the black and white Night of the Living Dead, there's a scene where she's running away from the zombie and she falls down on the ground and she just lays there for a good 30 seconds while the zombie keeps going, and she's like, I'll get up and run now. And it's just embarrassing, the level of incompetency that some story writers imbue on a character. Now, it doesn't always have to be a woman. It just usually is. It could be anyone, like a little sidekick guy, and there's an old movie called Van Helsing, and he's this big monster hunter guy, and his sidekick's a little friar who's like, I read books, and I need to be saved every 5 minutes of this movie. That's the damsel in distress. We're also seeing this flipped a lot of times in modern cinema, where the woman is the hero and a guy needs to be saved, which is honestly a good thing, because a lot of women in my life, and most of them could beat me up in a fight. Here's an example of a damsel in distress.
Halt!
side, two legs.
Pardon me, my good, sir. I'll have to ask you to release that young...
Keep moving, Junior.
lady. But you... aren't you a damsel in distress?
I'm a damsel. I'm in distress. I can handle this. Have a nice day.
Ma'am, I'm afraid you may be too close to the situation to realize...
So, now that was it for character archetypes. These are patterns of characters. We're going to move on now to setting archetypes. We're only going to look at 3 of them. Okay? So, the first setting archetype we're going to look at is called crossing the threshold. Okay? This essentially means leaving home. This is when the hero is at the beginning of the movie and they're safe, and this is everything that they've known before, and they have to leave it behind to go face evil. It represents the start of the journey. It represents going into the unknown. It represents uncertainty, but also excitement and adventure. In Captain America: The First Avenger, Captain America leaves Brooklyn to go fight the Nazis. In Wizard of Oz, Dorothy leaves black and white canvas and goes into the magical land of Oz, into this magical world of color where it's like, oh yay, but there's also witches. There's a lot of this example, and that's why it's an archetype, because it's a pattern that's repeated throughout history.
You're late.
A wizard is never late, Frodo Baggins. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.
It's wonderful to see you, Gandalf.
I don't think I'm Monsieur Uncle Bilbo's best.
What news of the outside world? Tell me everything.
Well, what can I tell you? Life in the wide world goes on much as it has this past day, full of its own comings and goings. Oh.
I will take it. I will take it. I will take the ring to Mordor.
The next archetype we're going to look at is the labyrinth. Now, the labyrinth is anytime the hero has to figure a series of puzzles out. Like, this isn't just their average, oh yes, I can run in with my sword and I can stop that ogre. This is, okay, there's a series of levers I have to pull, and if I pull the wrong one, we all die. It's a different kind of puzzle that they're used to solving, and so it's harder for them to come through it. Because heroes aren't usually smart. That's why they have the mentor. So the labyrinth is an especially deadly place for them. Now, it doesn't have to literally be a series of puzzles. It could just be a place where they don't know what to do, where they're very uncertain, and they have to figure some stuff out before they can move on. But I like the literal ones. So here's an example.
Breath of God. Only the penitent man will pass. Penitent man will pass. Penitent man is humble. Kneels before God. Kneel! Go. Only in the leap from the lion's head will he prove his worth. It's impossible. It's a leap of faith. Throw out.
Now, the last archetype we're going to look at is the underworld. This is where the hero faces death, and often literally. Sometimes whenever the hero's in the underworld, like in the Hercules, he literally goes into the underworld, faces the god of death, pulls his girlfriend's dead soul out of the water. Oh yeah, that's his girlfriend, so the damsel in distress. He pulls her dead soul out of the water, brings her back to life. He literally faced death. Sometimes it's not, though. Less literal, but still there. Like the hero has to get someone to a hospital real quick because they're hurt. Maybe it's just where someone dies. It doesn't always include resurrection. Sometimes a character dies in these because adventures are dangerous. And it's hard sometimes. And it represents overcoming that. It represents bravery in the face of death. That's what makes them a hero.
Oh, who's that? Hello, Harry.
This is it, Ron. I think this is the entrance to the Chamber of Secrets.
Really quite filthy down here.
All right. Let's go.
Oh, Harry. If you die down there, you're welcome to share my toilet.
Thanks, Myrtle.
Also, guys, I forgot to mention, not all these archetypes are always going to be present in every movie. Sometimes there is no damsel in distress. Sometimes there's only the labyrinth and not the underworld. Sometimes the hero is a bit of a messed up guy and more of an anti-hero, and you have what essentially amounts to two villains fighting each other in your movie. That's fine. These are patterns that are repeated. You don't have to use every single archetype, but the point is that these are present in most and in enough films and stories and books and comics and animes and mangas that it's still worth knowing all of them. So that's it, guys. If you have any questions, it's real important here. You message your teacher on Canvas. I know I'm Mr. Galbraith, but I don't want to be getting 1,000 messages on Canvas from kids I don't have. So, if you have a question about any of the content here, message your teacher. But also, if you have a question, rewatch this a couple times. You have the internet at your disposal. Feel free to Google the term. This is Hero's Journey. We're going to be looking at this for the rest of the year. Okay, so it's important that you grasp it. Yeah, we all miss you. We do. I know you probably don't believe that because we were also pulling our hair out before spring break. But we all knew we were going to come back. Kind of sad that we don't get to end the year with you. But I'm sure you're playing a lot of video games. That's what I'm doing. I've beat so many levels in Destiny that I hadn't before. Did a raid last night, took 6 hours. Been working through movie series with my family. Been watching Friday the 13th. We finished that entire series. Don't really recommend it. It wasn't that good. But after the third one, we were like, well, we've only got 4 more movies to watch. Why not make it a set? Just find something to do. Keep yourself occupied. If you don't have actual crafts you can do, get better at drawing. Get better at doodling. Have fun, everybody. Stay safe.
C minor. Put it in C minor. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to dedicate this song to Princess Fiona and Prince Shrek.
Fiona, my princess, would you honor me with a dance?
Where have all the good men gone and where are all the gods? Where's the streetwise horses to fight the rising dawn?
Since when do you dance?
Fiona, my dearest, if there's one thing I know, it's that love is full of surprises.
Late at night, I toss and I turn and I dream of what I need.
Hit it!
All right, big fella, let's crash this party. I'm the devil! Brace yourselves!
Not the gumdrop button!
needs you. Go! Today, I repay my debt.